lifelong best friends. Take turns picking topics, then they see where it ends. So wild, it's weird, and sometimes specific. Whatever it is, you know it will be terrific. It's Hyperfixation Time.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hyperfixation Time. I'm Danny.
And I'm Erin.
I'm not going to do the whole intro this time.
Okay.
This is Hyperfixation Time. If you're new here, basically we take turns going over different topics, whatever we feel like that week, and we consider them hyperfixations. This week it is Erin's turn to take us down whatever rabbit hole she's been thinking about lately. I don't know what it's going to be. We got no clues last week. But before we talk about that, we're going to just talk about our microfixations, which is like a smaller hyperfixation of whatever we're thinking about this week. You want to go first, Erin, with your microfixation?
Sure. You know about my microfixation this week, and that's the tiny little skunk that is
cute.
crawling around in our neighborhood. We saw him for the first time yesterday, or them, I don't know, obviously. And they're little. And then we saw them.
Floofy.
Yeah, and floofy, and they like waddle a little bit and then just kind of like jump a little. Like they're just so cute. And we were like, I just did a ton of research. I was like, is it safe? You know, back to the rehab episode, we didn't cover skunks. So
True.
I had to look it up, but it seemed like it was good. And then today we saw it again on our walk further down, like quite a ways down from where we saw it yesterday. So it was foraging again, it looked like, but it was getting close to the road. So I was like standing there waiting to make sure that he didn't cross the road. But he's so cute. A baby skunk. Oh my God. Die. I just like melted.
So cute. Yeah.
So I sent Danny a couple videos and pictures because I was like, oh my God. I don't think I've seen one in real life like that, you know?
Right.
Usually...
And is that at your new place?
No, it's still
Okay.
Yep. We're not at our new place yet.
Well, I know, but I just thought that I couldn't picture, like when you sent me the video, it didn't look like your old place to me.
Oh yeah. We were walking. So it was when we were taking the dogs for their walks that we saw.
I thought you were just like excitedly going over there again.
Oh no, maybe this weekend, but not this time. No, it was just on our walks. So
cool.
Anyway, I named them Smidge, and I'm gonna miss them when I move, but I hope that they're okay.
Smidge. Yeah.
So that's my microfixation. But what about you? What's yours?
Well, mine is Infinity Song. So that's my sweater that I'm wearing. Woo.
Yeah.
So Infinity Song is it's one of my favorite bands, and it's another sibling band, but Dwight and I went and saw them live at the Majestic Theater, and no, we did not get haunted while we were there. If you're confused about that, go ahead and listen to our Haunted Places in Wisconsin episode. But
yes.
Anyways, they're one of my favorite bands, so we got to see them, and it was just like amazing. I'm just really happy that we went, because I don't know, do you ever like see concerts, events and stuff that it's like you want to go to, but just for some reason you're just like, like whatever, I guess. And then you just kind of like let it pass by.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get tickets.
Yeah.
And so, we went. It was general admission. When we got in line, it was 6:30. Doors open at 7. So I kind of thought that we would be like in line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were third in line.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we like get inside, and I got my hoodie right away, and then just like nobody was really like by the stage yet. This is one of my favorite bands. Dwight was just kind of there because I, wanted someone to go with. It was date night, whatever.
Yeah.
So he didn't really care where we stood. He was like, well, it's up to you. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because then we'll have that experience, and years from now we can say we did it. So I was a little nervous that I was going to get like packed,
Oh yeah.
But it actually didn't. And so like we were against the stage, but still had like full room to like breathe, basically. Like there's people around us, but I wasn't like squished,
Not like sardines. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like they were just right there. I could have easily touched them at any time. My finger actually got caught on one of their microphone cords at one point.
Unplug it.
That was Momo Boyd. That was one of the siblings, and like I feel like she's just popping off right now because she just came out with her own solo album with some really great songs. So someday I'm gonna be like, I touched Momo Boyd's microphone cord.
Oh, that's so fun. You
And
gotta
then-
do that, like
I
stuff,
know.
like take that opportunity. I
I
love
made
that you did
eye
that.
contact with every single one of them at different points. And then towards the end of the concert, one of the singers, his name is Abraham, was like, oh, and we were selling merch back there. Like, we would love to sign any of the merch that you buy. Like, we'll come out and, say hello,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was just like, oh my God. And so this little spot right here, if you're watching the video, that's signed by Abraham.
Oh,
who's like,
nice.
he's so tall. He's got to be close to 7 feet tall. I got my picture with him as well. It was just such a good experience. And I feel really like spoiled now because we went to go see May and then we met them.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking, like, when I was at the Infinity Song concert, I was just like, like, I just wish that like I could meet them now because like now I have that experience. And then I got to meet
And
Abraham,
then you got to. Oh my
so
gosh.
it's really cool. And Dwight had a good time too. The other thing I was going to say is because he was behind me, I could hear him singing the whole time, which made me
Oh.
laugh because I was like, how often have I been playing this music that
he
you
knows.
know all the words to these songs?
Yeah.
And he was like, literally every time that we got in the car for like a very long period of time, this is what was playing. So yeah, I knew the words.
Yep. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So yeah, that's my gushing about my wonderful Infinity Song experience.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys did that. Sometimes I'm like, why not?
Exactly. Like
I
now,
don't know.
years from now, I can say that I did that. And I don't know, I just have that memory and it was so cool. My neck hurts so bad because looking up the whole time.
Oh, so first question. Were you like one of the maybe like biggest fans there? Were there just kind of people like casual there?
Dude,
Were there...
I told Dwight, I was like, I think I'm their biggest fan here tonight. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. I think there were other people there that, were also really big fans and everything. But yeah, I've never felt like that was the possibility. Like, I'm the biggest fan in the room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that though. After you'd said when you were there and you sent me the pictures, I looked up some of their music and was listening for a bit, and I was just like, oh my God, that'd be so cool to see live and then see it right there. I can't.
They were
imagine.
so good. I can't rave
That's
about them
awesome.
enough. Go check them out if you haven't heard of them before.
I also have a confession about concerts and what I do. If I really like the artist, I sing every song, with it or whatever. I'm always like, I'm such a good fan because I know all the words, and then there's people around me that maybe don't.
Sure.
And then I'm like, maybe like one of their, managers is sitting over here and is going to be like, you're such a good fan. Let's go bring you
my
backstage.
God.
I can tell.
That's so funny. I was self-conscious about that too because it's like I was trying to sing along with everything. Some of the songs they were singing are like brand new. They released a new album 2 days before the concert.
Okay.
So I'm not going to know every single word to those songs.
Main topic time?
Main topic time.
Okie doke. Should I give you a clue?
I would love one.
Okay. This is going to be another like psychology sort of episode.
Ooh, I'm excited for it.
And do you know when this episode will drop?
Will it be like what, the 21st? Or no, it'll be 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So the 29th or 28th or something like that.
Not quite. It'll be July 1st.
Okay.
And do you know what's happening July 1st in my life?
Oh, you're moving. Are you going to talk about like the most stressful events or something like that?
No, this is going to be a bit more positive.
Okay.
I'm going to be talking about, so first of all, let me back up. For those who don't know, we were in the process of selling our house and it's been super stressful, and we're trying to get back to Madison to be closer to like Danny and some of our other friends in the area. And just, we love Madison and we're just too far right now. It's been a goal of ours since we moved here, honestly, to be like, okay, we'll eventually get back to Madison. So finally just decided to make it happen. And we put our house on the market, and it was very slow moving and really, 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 really stressful. Finally, last Friday, somebody put in an offer at asking price, and I was so excited. So anyway, we fell in love with this one house that we put an offer in on, and like we were kind of waiting for our house to sell before we could kind of get excited about it, like, yes, they accepted our offer, but like our house has to sell before we can go there. And so it was stressful because we were like, okay, maybe we're just not going to get this house. Like, we're kind of like making peace with that. But finally, like I said, Friday, we got the accepted offer, and it's just like a huge relief. And we're going through like inspections and things like that now, which is kind of annoying, but at least things are looking up. So we will sell this house at 9 a.m. on July 1st, and then we will sign for our new house at 11 a.m. on July 1st.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. So it's going to be a busy day, but we're excited. So I was kind of curious. We keep talking about how, oh, this is going to be the next chapter, right?
Okay.
My year has been a bit rough. I'm glad that this move is happening and it just feels right. And so I was curious about like the science of a fresh start, essentially.
Okay, cool.
And why humans love new beginnings. And yeah, we'll just kind of get into some of that. So
that's really cool.
So, like I said, today's episode is actually releasing on a pretty fitting day for myself and my husband because we're moving. We'll be in the process of moving into our new house the day that this comes out. And moving is such an interesting human experience in general because, you know, technically nothing like magical happens, right? When you like get to the new place and you're unloading boxes and things like that. But back to like what we were saying, somehow walking into a new space kind of, it makes you feel like you're stepping into that new chapter. And it could be, you know, a new house, a new job, a new year, a new relationship, a new haircut. Speaking of, Danny also chopped her hair and it
Let me
looks so
take
cute.
these off really quick.
It looks so cute. She chopped it. How many inches was that? You had a,
You know, I have no idea.
oh my God. So it's interesting as humans. Why do we need these things in life, like these new chapters and things like that? We're constantly looking for moments where we can kind of say like, that was the old me and this is the new me, essentially. But why? Why do we feel so motivated by beginnings? Why does January 1st feel like a chance to sort of reinvent ourselves? Why does Monday feel like a better day to start something than a Thursday, you know? So today we're talking about the fresh start effect. And I wanted to get into, well, first of all, I wanted to ask you, you had a pretty big, significant move in the last, what, you guys have been here 2.5 years, 3 years now?
Yeah, we came back 4 years ago.
4? Oh my God.
Yeah, we came back in 2022. I know, it is crazy, isn't it?
Wow. But do you kind of say that out loud to Dwight? Oh, back, I mean, you were in different states and stuff like that, but like back in Colorado or before we moved here or something like that. Would you say that
I mean,
that's
yeah,
maybe?
definitely.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think that that's maybe like one of the, I mean, obviously having Leon's a big thing. Can you kind of like think about some of the big chapters in your guys' life?
For sure. And I do feel like, different apartments that we've lived in feels like different chapters as well, you know, or different jobs or, but yeah, I do feel like the apartments feels like big chapters, especially a big one was actually when I was pregnant with Leon, we moved apartments and the apartment that we lived in before we had lived in for 4 years. So that was a really long time. And that was our first apartment that we had in Colorado and everything. And then we moved apartments into this place that was like, it was like 3 times bigger, you know?
Okay.
And it was just like, and then I was pregnant. So
Making
we
room
welcomed
for
Leon
Leon.
into our new place and everything. Yeah. So I feel like that was like one of those really big chapters.
Really
also,
big, yeah.
We got married right after we moved as well. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just like a big chapter change.
Yeah, a lot going on. I don't know. Sometimes I like crave a fresh start, I guess. Especially like if things have been a little rough or something like that. But just in general, I mean, I was counting and since college, I have moved. So that's what, going to be 11 years. I have moved 8 times in different, like all different apartments and duplexes and then a house. And then we bought the house. Yeah, now we're going to the new house.
So you're
Hopefully,
saying that's after college? So like that's not including college years?
No, that's including college. Yeah.
Including college
so
years.
like from dorm, I moved obviously from home to dorm and then dorm to apartment, apartment to house, house to apartment again. Yeah. We just like
can
went
I think
back.
my numbers really quick?
Yeah, I want to hear.
Okay, so let me think about that. So well there was 5 in college. I moved every single year in college, by the way.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so there's 5 and then 6, 7, 8, 9. I beat you by 1.
9. Yeah. There you go. It's crazy to think that many times. I don't know. I feel like because we stayed here for 5 years. We've had this house for 5 years. So
yeah, that's a testament to how old we are. Because like I just said, I lived in that one apartment for 4 years too, and like it flies by.
I'm like, I know. It's like the math doesn't click in my head. I'm like, I'm still 22. What are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so before we get into like the psychology of it all, we have to talk about sort of something fundamental just about humans in general. We are storytelling creatures, you know? So we create stories about our lives. Psychologists do call this narrative identity, essentially, which is the idea that we build an internal story about who we are, where we came from, what shaped us, who we want to become. Our lives are not just like a timeline of events, but it's again just the chapters. We keep coming back to that. It feels like, you know, next chapter, moving on. So like I was saying, so think about when you talk about your own life and like, oh, before college, after I moved, before I became a parent, after that experience, like it's always around something pivotal,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
in your
You put,
life, I feel like.
landmarks or checkpoints.
Yes. Yeah. And so we naturally sort of divide our lives or our story into eras. Taylor Swift eras. But and a fresh start creates very clear turn the page, and it's a clear break, essentially. So what is the fresh start effect? The fresh start effect is a psychological phenomenon where people feel more motivated to pursue goals after meaningful time markers. So there were researchers, Hengchen Dai, Catherine Milkman, and Jason Reese. They studied how these landmarks influence behavior. So you might think of these landmarks like New Year's Day, your birthday, Mondays, the beginning of the month, the beginning of a school semester, starting a new job, moving somewhere new. And the interesting part is that the date itself doesn't really like change anything. Like December 31st to January 1st is just separated by one night, right?
Sure.
But psychologically, January 1st feels like a boundary.
True.
It separates the person who didn't do the thing from the person who's going to do the thing. Because you think of resolutions and like everyone's like, I'm going to start January 1st because it feels like that, you know, it's the right time to do it. And then I just also have like the brain creates distance from maybe past mistakes, or not just, it's not always bad. You can have a new chapter that's for, you know, good reasons, obviously, but just like psychologically, we can just feel that it's a step into the future. You know what I mean? Or like these researchers found that people are 33% more likely to exercise at the start of the week and 47% more likely at the start of a new semester. So just, I don't know, just some interesting, like not an isolated event. It's like a natural human thing, I guess. I also wanted to talk about something called temporal discounting. So,
Okay.
I know.
I'm trying to predict what it is, but
do you want to guess?
Temporal discounting. Well, I don't know. I don't think I have anything.
Okay.
Just tell me.
Okay. So it sits alongside the fresh start effect, and it's that idea called temporal discounting. This means that we're happier to commit to things in the future rather than the present. So effectively, the effort required to do something today feels larger than what we imagine the effort might be in the future.
The idea is like, well, maybe you're going to grab a snack out of the cupboard and you're just like, well, yeah, today I'll eat these cookies, but tomorrow I'm really starting my diet or whatever it may be.
Yeah. That's a good example. Or like with friends sometimes, or family or whoever, and it's like, oh, let's meet up next week, Thursday, and go blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that sounds great. You know, I'm really excited and everything. And then I always am like, Thursday, Erin, is completely different than the one who said yes. It feels like, you know what I mean? So it's just that it's like easier to think about the moving forward when it's ahead of you and not like in the present moment. Easier to commit to things in the future rather than the present. So it makes us believe that the future version of ourselves or our schedule will be less busy, we'll be more prepared, more capable, more motivated to do whatever it is that comes up. So does that make sense?
Totally. And I feel like I'm totally guilty of that as well.
Yeah. It's hard because you just don't know how you're going to feel that day, you know?
Yeah. You never know like how tired you're going to be, or like you said, like what's unexpected. And I think that that's especially hard too when you have a kid, because like there's just so much unpredictability that comes with that.
Yeah.
I think I actually texted you. Was that this morning or yesterday? Where I was like, we can record the podcast tomorrow depending on how tired I am from being a mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. I mean, you just don't know. You just don't know how you're going to feel that day. So I don't know. It's never like about sometimes it's about not wanting to do the thing, but sometimes it is just like, I do want to do the thing, but like I just physically or, you know, can't, or it's just I'm not in the right mood or something like that. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because I feel like I'm guilty of that. So why we believe future us will be better. One of the funniest things about humans is that we have this confidence in future versions of ourselves, the temporal discounting, essentially. Future me will wake up earlier, exercise, cook healthy meals, answer emails immediately, finally organize that one closet, which reminded me of, I was like typing this out. I was like, oh yeah, Danny just like did her whole closet like in the last 6 months, was it?
Oh God. Yeah.
I don't know why. For some reason, it just brought me back to when you were so excited about like finally
doing it. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
totally fair. There's, a couple more closets that still need that.
I know, right? You have such aspirations for being your future self being better.
Yeah.
But your present, maybe not so much, hence procrastination.
I'm really hoping that you're going to give me some tips and tricks to get past this, because right now I'm feeling terrible. You're making me think my future self is shit.
What? No.
You're so right. Because this is what happens. It's true that you plan these things and then your future self can't do them, and then you end up feeling terrible when you can't commit to those plans that you made, whether it is something simple like hanging out with somebody or a goal-oriented plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was hoping that you were going to tell me why either I shouldn't feel bad about it, or like how to get past that. You know?
Yeah. Not as
so
much. That's part 2. No, just kidding. I am going to talk about a little bit about like, can we actually change? So there's a little bit of that, I guess.
Okay.
To kind of tie into it. Psychologists call this a difference between our current self and our future self. It's almost like our future self is like another person, kind of. So yeah, examples like the I'll start tomorrow, I'll do it next week, future me can handle that. I say that all the time. That's future Erin's problem or something like that.
There you go.
Then I wanted to get into sort of why new environments make us feel different. So this is where moving becomes, sort of interesting. It's our environment influences our behavior, right? A new environment removes our old habits, routines, memories, associations. So we're kind of starting fresh in a new space because it's all, you get into the flow of things every day. And like now you have to start over. Like, I don't know, I can't remember where the forks are for, a month into moving or something like that. Or you just kind of learn the things that don't work that you carried from your old place and then you bring it to your new place and it might not work. So it's sort of a blank canvas, right? Moving doesn't just relocate your things. It breaks all those little routines in your brain. That was running on autopilot, essentially. I think you get to the point when you live at a place long enough where that just kind of you know it inside and out, obviously. So a new place kind of feels like you're rebuilding your daily life. It's a novel idea or like a novel situation that you're putting yourself in, which is good for your brain, to kind of do that. But it can also obviously lead to some overwhelm and things like that too. So, but this connects to place attachment, which is the idea that humans form emotional bonds with places. Places become a part of our identity. It's like your bedroom isn't just where you sleep sometimes. Maybe you helped your partner get through a really hard sickness, or your kid or whatever. Maybe it's where you had a movie night that was really fun. There's associations that go into it. Milestones, potentially. It's not just like a random bedroom, I guess. A new place creates the feeling of what kind of person. Like the opportunities are sort of like endless, right? It feels like, I don't know. I mean, it is technically like when you're in your old place too, but it just feels like, what kind of person am I going to be here that's going to be different from the old person?
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to like think of like a concrete example of that. And I feel like this might sound silly. And this one in my head kind of reminds me of the romanticizing your life episode. So I was just thinking of like when I move into a new place, like something that I love to do is obviously drink my morning coffee, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like when I move to this place, we have this balcony and I love it because it feels like peaceful out there and like serene, and it's green and whatever. And so it's like, oh, this new version of Danny is going to drink her coffee on the balcony every morning. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
I have done it sometimes. Has it been every morning? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I know. You get just like so like, you're very like optimistic about your future self, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't always play out like that. Which
Yeah.
is, I think that's everyone, like everyone has that.
Mhm.
It's a sort
Part
of
of part of this, the human brain, human experience.
Exactly. So wanting to get into, can we actually change who we are? So the short answer is yes, but probably obviously not like overnight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real change usually happens through small, repeated behaviors. I feel like you hear this all the time, but this is where we get into neuroplasticity. The brain is adaptable. It can change physically, like actually physically, through learning, repetition, experiences, habits. So you're not going to wake up the next day this brand new person on January 1st as much as you want to be. You have to sort of make like small achievable goals that will get you to the larger goal, and then it'll become habit, and then it'll become like second nature, hopefully, if you keep it up, right? You slowly train your brain towards different patterns, because our brains are all about pattern recognition. So a fresh start, like I said, is not magic. It's just an opportunity to create those new patterns,
Yeah.
I don't know. Neuroplasticity is always interesting to me. Like, the brain is just so fascinating. I got to get Katie back on here to talk about it.
There you go. Yeah, no, I think that's one thing, maybe people don't realize is, like you said, you can change it, and like all those connections. Because, yeah, I think that people believe that, after a certain age, you're done developing, and you can still totally change it. And it's important to keep your brain active and keep it learning new things, especially as you age,
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely. I think it's easy to be like, this is just how I am and this is just how it is. But it's healthier to put yourself in more novel situations. It's better like you said, better for your brain, better to kind of exercise it in some ways, to just kind of think outside the box and see where that takes you.
There was something that I was listening to just a few days ago, and they were talking about AI and how it's like, how it actually does make people dumber, because it makes you lose certain connections in your brain. Because if you're just constantly relying on AI for all of your answers, like, you don't have to think through any problems. And I feel like one of the biggest examples that I can think of is like when it comes to something like Google Maps, right? And use it to get yourself everywhere, so you don't ever have to develop those like paths in your brain of like, how do I actually get from point A to point Z? Like, I have typed into Google Maps the same freaking address like 100 times.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So Paige and I were just having that same conversation last weekend of Google Maps and that example, because I don't know, obviously our parents grew up in a different generation, and they didn't have Google Maps for the majority of their life, or, first pivotal parts of their life. And my dad will be like, well, did you take 151? Like, he'll just name a thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I just followed Google.
Yeah, exactly.
I just followed Google Maps. Like, I didn't pay attention to what road I was on or anything like that. I just turned when I needed to turn, and
and I got
here. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to live without Google Maps, I feel like, though.
Yeah. I think I could figure it out. Like, when we first started driving, we didn't really have it.
True.
And I used to like to just kind of drive around and then like just have fun, like figuring out how to get places. This is a tangent now. But anyways, just wanted to say that your brain is flexible.
Yes.
And it can still change, and you can still make it stronger.
Yep.
You can still make it weaker.
Yep. Yeah. Choose which path you'd like to go down. Absolutely. I was going to say, when you said like getting lost and like trying to find your way back, made me think of like, oh, we did it when we were on bikes camping. So you did it when you were in the car driving.
Fun.
We're just working on our neuroplasticity over here.
Yep.
And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the identity shift that happens. So one reason that fresh starts work is because they involve identity. Instead of like, if you compare, I want to exercise more versus I am someone who takes care of my health. I want to be more creative versus I am a creative person. Humans, will naturally want their actions to match how they see themselves. So the strongest changes often happen when behavior becomes a part of that identity, you know? So you kind of see it differently versus just like, I one day want to exercise more versus I'm somebody who goes to the gym 3 times a week or something like that. Whatever it might be, like that changes, it becomes a part of you. And that kind of leads to more success of following it through or follow through, I guess.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
building up towards those changes that you want to make. If you do. So there is a dark side of fresh starts. They can be really powerful, right? But they can also become like almost like a trap. Some people become addicted to the feeling of starting over, which sometimes I feel like I'm somewhat in that space.
I feel like I agree with you a little bit. Like it just feels like once you hit a wall, whatever that wall may be, you're just like, well, I need to change everything about my life
Yeah.
to fix this problem.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's dramatic, but like, you know, even just like a small change can be a big change.
Yeah. Like a haircut.
I hear you.
Or
Yeah, there
hair
you go.
color, you know? I've done that before where I'm like in a crisis and I just go and dye my hair or something. You know, like I don't know,
True.
for some reason. Or like I got bangs or whatever. It's like,
That's a pretty good example because it's
you know,
like low stakes, really.
low stakes, yeah, but it's something I can
still
do.
effective. Yeah.
And there's that excitement of, you know, buying supplies, making plans, imagining the future. That's the state that Paige and I are in right now. We're constantly just being like, oh my God, and then when we're here, it's going to be like this, and this is going to be so great, and you know, and
that's exciting.
it is exciting. It's very exciting, and that planning can actually feel better than doing the actual work. Right.
Sure.
So examples are like buying a planner instead of creating a routine, researching hobbies instead of trying them out yourself, planning a transformation instead of making small changes towards that transformation. Fresh start is not the transformation. It's more like the choices afterward are what really are the transformation. I feel like that sounds very like heady, but like that's just where my brain went of like, it's not the act of the fresh start, but it's everything after that. But it still feels like there's like a start and end with that, which I think is still important to have. Something to think about. Why we keep seeking new beginnings. So a lot of times humans love fresh starts because they give us something incredibly valuable, which is hope. So kind of thinking ahead and optimism. They remind us that our story isn't, finished yet. A bad year doesn't define you, or a mistake that you made doesn't need to become your whole identity. And I resonate a lot with some of that with anxiety that I go through. You know, it's easy to get stuck in that trap of just being kind of having those thoughts of it's like, well, that just defines me now. But it's also just like, it's just a part of you. Or I worry about the mistakes I make, you know, and or if I did something embarrassing, or if I said something I shouldn't have said. I constantly am like thinking it over and over. And it's like, as bad as it is, it's also like, it's just a part of the story of your life, essentially.
Yeah.
So like I kind of put that, like a difficult chapter doesn't mean that the whole book is ruined. You can look at it that way. And sometimes I get stuck in like everything's spirally and bad.
Sure.
My whole, everything is ruined. They all hate me. Everyone hates me. I was so stupid. Or
we're ruminators.
Yep. Okay. So just kind of imagining those possibilities. And really that's kind of all I really wanted to get into. I mean, there's so much more that goes into it. A lot of research out there about this, about resolutions, about, you know, why people fail at resolutions often, like at the new year and stuff like that. But I don't know. I like a turning of the page. I like being like, okay, like, let's take a step here and see where this takes us. Because I feel like sort of those beginnings are almost like permission to maybe start over. You know, you think starting over, but at least just kind of like you have an opportunity to have that hope and see where those choices take you, I guess.
Yeah. I guess my question is like, what do you hope this change will bring for you? Who do you hope to be?
So like on paper, this move doesn't make sense because
Okay.
we have a really good interest rate here and we have a higher interest rate for the new house. And this house is a lot more affordable versus the new house. But I work remotely. My husband works remotely. Your surroundings are so important, you know? And so I think it's just going to bring me happiness to have a house that like not only is like a huge goal that we've accomplished, hopefully, if all continues to go well, that I'm proud of. And so I'm like, I feel like that's just going to do a lot for just like getting up every morning, you know?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we're going to be in a city, in a place that we resonate with, because we just don't feel like we really fit in here in where we currently live. And as soon as we drove around the neighborhood and just saw the diversity, and you know, we have PJ's half Mexican, we have a Hispanic last name, and sometimes there's, in smaller towns, like things that come with that, and we've experienced that quite a bit here. And so it just feels like, I think it's going to do wonders. And I'm so excited to be closer to you and some of our other friends. I just love Madison. I think we're going to get out more. You know, I think me and Peach have just like said, maybe like on a random night, you know, hey, are you guys free to go to the terrace tonight or something like that on a beautiful summer night? Or we love kayaking. So like we're going to get out kayaking a lot more because we're right by, you know, the lakes and stuff, and everything's nearby. And I don't regret getting this house, but I think that we learned a lot from living here and kind of what's important to us, you know? So it's going to change my whole life. I'm going to be a brand new person.
Yeah.
No, I just think, I think just the day to day will be happier, you know?
Totally.
So
I think my biggest piece of advice to you would just to like listen to this episode after like 6 months. I don't know. I just think it could be easy to just stay inside.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, we're moving to this city so that we can do all these things. And then all of a sudden it's like a month goes by and you're like, oh, we haven't seen a single friend or something. You know? And I'm not saying necessarily that you're going to do that, but it's just like, you're homebodies, and like that's just kind of how it goes. Like you said in this episode, like you get acclimated, you get used to it after a while. And so just like setting maybe goals for the month or something like that.
Achievable goals, and
tell yourself that you're a city person that does things. I don't know.
I know, but the thing is like we will have, you know, more opportunities for some of that. Like PJ plays soccer. Or he did growing up. He loves soccer, and he's talked about like, I want to join some league, you know, like you know, just kind of like pick up games or whatever it is. And we just don't have that here, you know,
right?
And Madison has that. Since we'll be closer, it'll less of a barrier, hopefully. But I agree. I do think that it's we are homebodies and we need to push ourselves a little bit more. So we're gonna work on that.
No, you're good. I think you will, and I don't think, even though you are like homebodies, I feel like you still manage to get out and do a lot, even from Portage. So I think you'll be all right.
I hope so. Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of nostalgia in this house. I like I talked about, like there's a lot of good. There's not just, you know, bad things or anything that's happened here. There's a lot of good, and I appreciate all of that. And I'm just excited to see where this takes us. Have that permission to sort of grow, I guess. And it doesn't really erase who we are, right? It doesn't erase this part of our lives. It just carries over what we've learned into what comes next. So I'm excited about
next chapter.
Maybe it's about becoming a more intentional version of ourselves, these fresh starts. Less barriers. It was like a big thing for us because we have a lot of barriers being farther away and nobody in this town with us. And so being in a town where people are closer, things to do are closer, good food is everywhere. That's a big one because Portage doesn't really have great food, and that's something I'm really missing. Yeah, or even just like we could do like Thursday night girls' nights, or I don't know, once a month or something like that. It'll be instead of driving 50 minutes to get to get to us, you know, it'll be 20.
Yeah, we can like easily meet up for, I don't know, I was just thinking about like going to the market or something on Saturday, and it's like, well, that'll be in between us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can just like meet up there real fast.
Yeah, or even if it's just like, hey, we're going to be here. I don't know what you guys are doing, but like it's way more feasible if we're closer by, obviously. And with homebodies, it's easy to stay home when the drive is farther.
Yeah.
You know.
I hear you.
That was it. Anything
else? It's a good
else?
one. I like it.
Okay.
I feel like it's really nice little personal chat and an interesting topic.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I was really struggling with what to think about or like what to do for this one. And then because PJ kept saying like, I don't like the word start over. Like I don't like, and I think I was using that phrase. And then I'm like, you're right. It's not starting over. It's chapter. It's the turning the page. I know I've said that a million times, but that's just what I picture in my head is like literally just like doot, turning the page.
Yeah, it'll be good for you guys, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to use your space.
Yeah, absolutely.
like Leon he made like s'mores last weekend at my
fun.
parents' house, and then he was like, Mom, I want to have a bonfire at home. And then I was like, well, we don't really have a good spot for that at our place, but you know who's moving to Madison soon?
There you go.
Aaron is, so we'll go have a bonfire.
Yes,
I literally told him that. So
100%, we can have a bonfire. Absolutely.
Cool.
New beginning.
Yay. Okay, wait. Hyperfixation time. Would you like a clue for next week?
Yes.
Because I do have one, actually.
Okay.
It's a game.
A game.
Yep.
Okay, not Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah, you can just ponder on what that might be
Okay.
for next week.
I mean, I have ideas, but okay.
We'll see
we haven't
if they're
done a video
correct.
game. That's a good one.
I didn't necessarily say it was a video game, did I?
You're right.
We'll see.
I'm excited.
Anyways, for today, that was fun. I appreciated the topic. Next week, you'll just have to chime in and hear about my game topic. But let us know, please, what you're hyperfixated on. We would love to know because maybe someday we will talk about it in an episode. But yeah, let us know what you're hyperfixated on. Drop it in the comments, DMs, or email. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, Facebook, all the places. We are there. And whenever we reach 500 followers on any platform, we will release an embarrassing video of us from childhood.
We were weird. Well, we still are.
Weird.
We still are, but yeah, we were pretty weird.
We were just lucky that we didn't post these things on the internet when we were kids.
Yes. And you can buy us a coffee.
Oh yeah, there's a link in the description for that.
Awesome.
But until next episode, embrace the spiral, stay curious, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
It's hyperfixation time.